Hey guys, I'm Sherry Vegas, and in this tutorial today I'm going to be going over some top tips and tricks that are really going to help you level up your Resin Geode artworks. So the first tip I'm going to go over, and this is a little bit of a money saver, plus it also just gives you a few more options, is using glass chips instead of crystal chips. Now you're more than welcome to go and get crystal chips and add those in, or you can use them kind of as more of like a feature piece. But using glass chips, especially clear, just crushed glass chips, a lot of the time you'll find them online as like fire glass because it's meant to be like put into fireplaces and stuff like that, or it's more decorative for like a decorative outdoor feature. Just double check on the sizing because obviously some are really big and some are really small, but it's a great alternative than using crystal chips because crystal chips can get quite expensive, especially if you're after a certain color and that particular kind of crystal is just expensive in general. And you can also, which is really handy, if you use clear glass ones, you can use some alcohol inks to color them, and that way you can get a really wide spectrum of colors and you're saving a lot of money but still being able to get the color that you want. One of my favorite ways of adding some line work and some interest onto my geode artworks is by mixing a metallic powder pigment, any kind that you would normally use with resin, with some artist gloss varnish. I find that this works really well, and then you can paint it on. This means that if you don't have pens that are the right color, gold or silver, you can then use your pigments, mix that up, and then paint it to the areas. You have a lot more control, and I just find it's a lot more vivid and just super metallic-y over just those pens. Adding glitter line work into my resin geodes is one of my favorite things to do, but there are a few little tricks to getting perfect glitter lines every single time. So a question that I get asked all the time, or people that talk to me about it, is that they find once they've done their line work, it looks amazing, but then as soon as the resin starts to settle, it starts to expand out because resin self-levels, that they lose all of their thin lines, and sometimes their lines will meet and merge, or they will just look a bit too fat for what they were after. So there's a few simple steps that you need to do where you'll get the perfect ones. So the first thing you need to do is do your mixture right. So I like quite a thick ratio of like 50% glitter, and I do a bit of chunky glitter and a bit of fine glitter, and then I also like to do like 50% resin. So normally you wouldn't ever do this with resin, you'd always do like 5 to 10% pigment to resin ratio, but with your glitter lines you want it to be really glitter. You don't want to see any of that clear resin, so you need to do a really high ratio, and you'll find that your resin will still set the exact same, and we're not doing it over the full area of the board, we're just doing it for our line work. The second thing that's going to help you a lot is by using a piping bag, or you can also use a disposable plastic syringe. So for this method, I'm just going to be doing a piping bag, which is basically just a Ziploc bag, and I put it over a cup and then pour my resin glitter mixture into that. If you have disposable piping bags, you can use those as well, or some people like to use those medical syringes. It's completely up to you on what you find is easier. Now, the third little trick to getting perfect glitter lines is let your resin get thicker. So when we first mix up our resin, it's going to be at its most fluid viscosity because it's just newly mixed, and as it gets closer to that setting point, it's going to get thicker and thicker. We want it to be quite thick before we start to work with it, so right at the end of our working time. If you work with it too soon, you'll find that when you do all your line work, it will look amazing, and then as soon as resin does what it always does, which is expand out and self-level, you'll find you'll get lots of fat lines, or it will go into places you haven't intended for it, or you'll get two glitter lines merging into one, and it might not be what you want. So by letting your resin get thicker, it means when you do pipe out and do all your glitter line work, it's actually not going to move. You'll find that the perfect point is when you've got to actually squeeze the bag a little bit to really get that glitter line out. And that's the perfect time when you are doing your glitter lines. So 3 simple things: a really good glitter to resin ratio. You want to pop it in a piping bag or use a plastic disposable syringe. And the third thing is just wait and have a little bit of patience to let that resin start to thicken before you do start piping your glitter lines out. When you are doing a resin geode, you can think of doing it in layers to add more interest. Don't feel like you have to do everything in the first layer. So for this particular piece, I'm going to be doing a first layer of a resin dirty pour, which is going to be giving me like that really sort of soft stone agate slice look to my base layer. And then I'm going to be doing a second layer where I'm going to be adding some more line work and some line detail to that. I've just let the first layer set before I did my second layer, but this is just another way that you can level up your geode game and add some more interest, and you can get some really beautiful patterns from the first and second layer. When you do the second layer, you obviously need to work with some clear resin because we do want to be seeing the first layer pop up. You don't want to fully cover it because then you lose the point of the first layer. If you are going to be doing any feature crystals or any big crystals, I always like to attach them first, and I like to attach them first with some hot glue. Hot glue is great because it dries clear and you won't see it when you do pour your resin layer. And it also means that your resin crystals aren't going to move or float around when you do pour your resin layer, and they're going to stay exactly where you want them to. And my last tip, and this is a super simple tip, is just to use pens to add some more line work and some more detail in. When you do your resin pour, you just can't get as much detail as you would if you use pens. Because your resin expands out and blends, you're just not going to get all of that detail that you might want. So a great way of adding detail back in is by doing line work. I hope all of those tips and tricks have been really helpful when it comes to leveling up your resin geode pieces. I've got a bunch more, so if you'd like to see a part 2 to this video, I'm happy to do so. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the boxes below. And if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe as I post new videos every single week. Thank you guys so much for watching.